Okay, I got a computer today in the mail. This is a Commodore Plus 4. This is the box. I haven't opened it yet. It's got some punches in the box. It's bent a little on top like it's hit something, so I'm filming. I'm filming the unboxing just in case it's broken. I really hope it's not broken because these are rare. Now, the problem with these systems is that the power supply is the original style of Commodore power supply. So they will, basically the power supply is doomed to fail, and when it fails it hits the system with high voltage and destroys it. And they made later revisions of the power supply that didn't do this, but this power supply that's going to be in this box is one of them that does, that messes up. Okay. And I always keep this stuff because I sell things on eBay regularly, so I definitely could use the boxes and the, well, maybe not that box, but the packing material. Alright, so what I did recently was I saw that the SD to IEC cartridges, they actually can work with the Commodore Plus 4. They had a guy that was showing one working, and he had it going through the disk drive port, and then had 5 volts going to it. And I noticed mine has the built-in high-speed cartridge, and it didn't have the 5 volt hooked up. So I took a USB cable and cut one end of it, and then soldered it to the 5 volt on it. So it should have 5 volts, and therefore it should work. So hopefully it does anyway. So here's my SD2IEC, and normally you would plug this into the cartridge port, but you can also plug this into the disk drive port, or to the port of your number 8 5¼ inch disk drive, and so then you know, it won't make it so that it won't work. Then this is USB plug-in, so that'll be one of the first things I try after I confirm this works. Now, he said it worked, but he didn't show a picture. Usually I like to see a picture of it working, obviously. So let's see. This is it, and here we go. And this is all the correspondence that came with it. This was a somewhat failed system when it came out. The plan, Tramiel's plan, was to sell this as a budget system. This was only supposed to be like 150 or 200 bucks when it first came out. And its little brother, the C16, was supposed to be like, I don't know, like under 100, like maybe $50 or $75. And it only had 16K. This one has 64K, but it also has a more advanced basic than the Commodore 64, so you're left with more RAM to use after the initial boot, and it has 4 built-in on a ROM chip software programs that are business oriented. These are supposed to be home or business, basically home computers, where, you know, home computers were getting the stigma of being just more expensive, overpriced gaming systems. Like, you'd buy an Atari computer, then realize it's too cumbersome or too difficult of a learning curve to use for spreadsheet or for graphs or for home finance or anything. So it ended up just being a overpriced game system for your kids to play. And I think he wanted to get away from that by having business-oriented systems. Now today, there's a pretty strong well, I don't know if it's really strong, but there's definitely a following for this system now, and there have been a lot of really good homebrew efforts good games for it. I got this as a game system and also to program on, because I've heard, oh, that's very, very light. I've heard that the basic on this is actually good enough to program on. Now, this system does not have any kind of sprite hardware. So where the Commodore 64 had sprite pushing hardware where all the tiles could be used like sprites, this system did not. But it can emulate sprites through programming, and the basic actually gives you control over graphics. So where it doesn't have sprites, it does have higher color graphics than the C64 and more available RAM after the initial boot up and a more advanced basic. So, and I don't know if this has even been in practice yet, but using basic to program a game on this system I think would be fun, and having a, the near virtually unlimited space of a SD card on one of these systems would make that very interesting. Now the keyboard's way better on this. Well, it's actually a little mushy, and it's not too dirty. It looks like it's gotten almost no use. Nice clean keyboard. You often see these very yellowed. So let's look. First time for both of us here. Very, very clean looking. Now this is the square power supply, but it's the same voltage and it's the exact same power supply as the C64 original. And then over here we have the altered joystick ports. Now part of what compelled me, there's a video, to buy this was I saw a thing online where this community of Plus4 enthusiasts chat. Like, I think it's called like Plus4 World or something like that. Someone had gone on there and said that the CDI controllers have the same plug-in as the Plus4, and that they work on the Plus4. Now, when I saw this, I jumped. My goodness, because I have a CDI. I have the CDI controller and everything. I have a good one that's like the Logitech controllers of the past. It is a Logitech controller for the CDI. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to hurry up and buy one of these quick, because there was only a couple left that were a decent price that even said that they worked. So I went ahead and got this. Then I went back and was reading on that forum, and down towards the bottom someone said, whatever you do, don't do what that guy said. Don't plug that controller in, because they have totally different pinouts, and you could actually have it directing a certain amount of voltage somewhere where it shouldn't go. It could destroy the controller, and stuff. And they said that the guy that said that is a known scammer, kind of troll character who goes in there and just kind of makes up crap, right? Because someone right afterwards said, oh, I have one of those and that would be a great controller to use. And he said, someone came in and said mine didn't work. Someone then came in and said, oh, mine worked fine. So then, of course, that's what would happen in my case is I see that, I know I have that controller, because controllers for this are hard to get. They made like one, and they're about $60, and they're not good controllers. They're like flight stick controllers that are not good. So you want a good controller. Now they have converters, but they're only from places like Germany and Italy and Poland, and you have to wait a long time for them to get to you. They're not prohibitively expensive, but get ready to wait and hope that it ever gets to you through, international mail. But what they do have is if you have the smaller connector, like what goes to the back of this, and I have several of them through adapters for PC Engine controllers and things like that, where I could remove one of those connectors and then wire it to a 9-pin input, like what would be for an Atari joystick, Sega Genesis joystick, stuff like that. And then if you wire the wires correctly, then by following the proper pinouts, which I've drawn the pinouts now from data online, you can make an adapter that will allow this to use Amiga or Atari compatible gamepads or joysticks. And I have some aftermarket Amiga gamepads that have up mapped as a second button for games where up is jump, and it's basically it's a copy of the Nintendo gamepad. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is test this. Phase 1, the system works, and the power supply is not killing the system. The whole time I run this, it's in danger of the power supply failing and destroying the system until I get either a replacement power supply or some type of protection circuit. So the first waves of tests on this system are going to be somewhat dangerous. Now, what most people do, and what I probably should do before I run this system, is take it apart and put thermal paste, minimum, thermal paste and a heat sink, more probably, on the TED chip, which is the chip that gets hot and can also be the death of the system. So the TED chip can overheat and take out the system. Of course, these things can mess up for all manner of reasons, like capacitors going bad and stuff, but the two main reasons they go bad are the TED chip gets too hot, destroys the system, or the power supply fails and zaps the system with too much voltage. Those are the two things. So, I'm tempted, like a kid in Christmas, to just plug this in and just test it out. Mainly because the guy said online that it worked, meaning that I'm assuming he's telling the truth and that this actually works. So, based on that, I should be able to plug it in. The system will pop up and it'll work. And then after that, I can test out the SD2IEC, which I've already prepared with a plethora of +4 stuff. Now, I don't have a joystick, so playing games until I get that adapter made or purchased is going to be tough. I also don't know how to program BASIC on this yet, because it's a tiny bit different. I don't know if it's peeks and pokes. It probably is. But I do have the manuals, and these are brand new. This looks like it has never been opened or touched in the life of it. So I could probably assume that this system has almost never been used, possibly tested or never been used. We got the user manual, brand new, warranty repair location. So if something's wrong, I can go to Computer System Division in Westchester, Pennsylvania. First, I'll have to go back in time, though, to February 1986. So, and I do have this, wow, surprisingly never used, brand new RF computer box here. These you can use for Atari or some other systems, Commodores. And this was so you could have your antenna hooked up. This would go to the antenna input, and then this would be where your antennas plug in, and then this is where your system would plug in. Then you shift this up to computer, and then that blocks the antenna signal, and you put it on channel 3 or channel 2 or something. Then if you want to watch TV, you move this to TV, and then it allows the antenna signal to go through. And it has the brand new, this has never been used. Usually these are rusty or dented or stepped on or whatever, and this has never been used. I can tell. This is the newest one of these I've ever seen. And I got these back in the day. So, +4 system. Getting ready to test it out. Okay, now I would normally use the equipment it came with, but I probably will end up using those parts for an Atari. I have this very heavy duty, super shielded, and gold connector RF. And this is already hooked up to my high definition television. And so it's going to go straight into the flux capacitor here. M and L. I don't know what L means. Okay. So the system is there. I'm getting the power brick. I'm just going to do a quick test. I'm not going to let this run long enough to heat up the TED chip. But yeah, definitely this system will be souped up. This looks like this power supply has never been used. I mean, it really does. It looks like it has never been used in the life of the system. This all looks brand new. Okay. Alright, so as much of it is plugged in as needs to be to just do an initial test. And I have my screen set up so that I have RF. See, that's one thing that bothers me when you read about these systems online, when you're about to buy one, and it's like an amp, it's like an amplifier, right? Or an old computer. They say, and this is common, I have no way to test this. They say that a lot. Well, I have a 4K 55-inch Roku Smart TV, and it has RF in. That's a way to test these systems, just simply plugging it in with RF. I have a relatively sharp new Sony HD TV for one of the arcade machines. It has RF in. I have yet to see, I'm sure they do have them, but I have yet to see an HD TV that does not have an RF input. So when these people say they have no way to test these systems, I kind of find that hard to believe. Like, of course you have a way to test it. Right there on your system is an RF input. Maybe they don't know that it has an RF input. That's fine. But you know, in my mind, they're just lying. Or they're just too lazy to find out. They don't know. Okay. So we're getting ready to test this out, and I'm just going to kind of turn this way and point it at my HD TV. I'm not usually I would zoom in really tight and clean and all that stuff, but just for this, I'm going to go ahead and try it out. Okay, everything is ready to go. Red light. Black screen. Okay, and it's giving me my TV stuff, but what I need is to go to channel. There it is. Okay, channel 3. And there we go. Commodore Basic version 3.5, 60,671 bytes free, 3+1 on key F1, ready. Okay? So, as you're probably seeing hopefully through there, this apparently is working. Okay? It looks like it's never been used. So let's go 10, and I'm going to say A equals A. Oh my goodness. Shift lock, is shift lock on? No, A equals A, it was on, yeah. Shift lock is right next to A, so actually as I do home row, my pinky wants to hit shift lock. Very sensitive. It seems like a very sensitive keyboard. A equals A plus 1. Okay, we're going to say 20 if A equals 80. Then, oh no, actually we'll do a big number. I wonder if else will work here. Let's see if we can get some else going on here. We'll say if A is less than 250, no, we'll do 128 because that's quicker. 128, that's half of one 8-bit group of possibilities. If A is less than 128, then A equals A plus 1. I like you could do plus without hitting shift. If A is less than 128, then A equals A plus 1. Else, is else even a thing on here? Probably not. A equals 0, return. I don't know if that will work or not. Now we'll say if A equals we'll say 32, then print. Wow, it's very sensitive. I'm just barely touching these keys. Oh, goodness. Oh, I just accidentally changed everything to lowercase. Let's fix this. It's still that way. There we go. I don't imagine that matters. Let's see. Fame's free then. Trying to do shift. Print. Yeah. There. Okay. This, I feel like You know, like I've never typed before, and I've actually taken typing class. So if I was sitting upright with, you know, home row and focus, this is on my bed and I'm hunched over like a, I don't know, Linus or Schroeder on a keyboard. Oh no. Just, hi. So now I'm going to try another one. It just kind of did something funny. I hope that wasn't a bad sign. Let's see here. If A equals 64, then print but for how long? We'll say 40 if A equals 128. Or no, I've already done 128. We'll say 92.
Use me before I explode.
Oh, the arrow key works.
No way.
I just used the arrow key to delete that unwanted letter. Now we're going to go to...
Guess what?
50. What?
Peter Knetter made a members only video where he did a podcast with...
Okay, can't use else.
Where he did a funny podcast where he used character AI to... What was it? To talk to Tails. It was funny. Wait.
All right.
You're using the Commodore Plus 4.
There we go. Now it's working. I'm alive, but for how long? Use me quick before I explode. Now it should restart, I think, once it reaches 256 or 255. Maybe not, though. So I can add line 45. We'll go ahead and maybe stop it. Yeah, and then I'll say 45 if A equals 254, then A equals 0. And that will reset the timer, and we'll run it again. So now it should continually run, hopefully, if it reaches 255.
So you're making a video?
Yeah.
Hi, YouTube.
So, okay, let me break this and then do a list. This keyboard is very sensitive. Let's see if A equals 254. I'll go 45 if A is greater than 200, then A equals 0. There we go. Hopefully that'll do it. This is crude. Okay. I know it might not reset A properly. Like I said, I don't know how to use this specific basic. So let's go stop, then maybe clear, we'll clear the screen, we'll get the screen clear. Then I'll say run, and we'll just watch this happen. Okay, so it seems to be working. Now I think this has a reset button. That was something new on this system, was a, yeah, there. I just used a reset switch, which is something that is foreign to Commodore. So a Commodore 3 reset switch is like, whoa. Now, I should be able to, yeah, hit that. There we go. Now this is the onboard system. So this, I guess, is like a word processor, where I can type stuff. I don't know anything about how to use them. I guess I could read the books and figure it out, but I really don't have use for spreadsheet, graphs, word processing and stuff. Well, maybe word processing would help if I wanted to type addendum to programs or elaborate remark statements that are within code, but that's all more, it's easier for me to just write a journal along with the game or use remarks within the program. But remarks within a program, especially with these older basic ones, they do inhibit the functionality of the program, so you'll have to delete them all, and so it might actually be smarter. Now there's kind of a sharp edge to the plastic here. I don't think this has ever been used. The plug-in looks like it's never been used. The system is super clean, white keys and everything, like it's never been used. I would not be surprised if this system was plugged in, somebody was like, well, I can't use this, and then they put it in a closet somewhere for whatever, 30 some years. So 1986, how long ago was 1986, Nick?
That's like, is it 38 years ago or something?
Something, yeah, that sounds right. Probably. I'm not doing the math in my head, that's why I asked. Okay, now we're going to try the card. And if this card works, we will have, as I said before, a plethora of software with which to try on this system. So what I'm going to do to keep the card from, and I think the box actually got some little bumps on it from the ride, which I don't like that, because this box could have been pristine if the delivery service wouldn't have bumped the box everywhere. So I think the damage on I'll check the pictures of the purchase, but it could very well be that any damage on this box is actually from the United States Postal Service, and therefore they damaged this box. And the box itself is part of the value of the system. If I try to resell this and someone sees that it has a nice clean box, that could help in reselling it. So because they did that, it might actually impact this negatively. Okay, here we go. Well, it flickered, it did turn on. I had one beep, but I don't know that, so there's something to type in to get this to work. Let's say,
Oh, you just typed up.
ooh, see, I was barely touching F. List. Is it list, comma 8, comma 1, or? Oh, goodness. Man, I'm a little bit rusty on my commands. It is plugged in though, and it's not exploding, so I assume that's probably for the best. Now the Epic's fast load probably won't do anything because it's plugged in through the cartridge. So I'm going to brush up on this really quick. I think it's just load, comma 8, comma 1, but let's see. Load, and maybe it's $sign, comma 8.
Load F time.
Mismatch. Oh, okay, yeah, load F, that's wrong. Load, comma 8. So there, it's working. Ready? List. There we go. It worked. The Epic Fast Load SD2IEC cartridge is working through the disk drive port. Now I could also, because of this, plug my Commodore 5 1/4 inch disk drive into this system and use it, and also use the fast load cartridge through the disk drive, enabling copying of software onto real disks and playing real +4 disks through that disk drive. So we have that. All we need now is a controller, and a controller would make this significantly better. Now with the directories and stuff, there's something I can type in here. I don't know if it's FB. I think that might be it. So we can say load FB. Darn it, this is so sensitive. I'm gonna have to get used to it. It's probably the most sensitive keyboard I've ever used. It's really sensitive. There we go. Now this should be my, and it uses the arrow keys. Wow. Now, bin, I don't remember where I put this stuff. So, 16, 64, 128. I guess it's either bin or CBM, which would be business machines. Okay. There we go, C16 plus 4. And a huge amount of area here. Now the first one, let's try Pets Rescue. Let's see if that even pops up. That says Pet, there we go, Pet Rescue.
Pets Rescue.
But that says D64. That might be a Commodore 64, whatever, let's try it. We're gonna boot the program. Can you believe this?
You got the Commodore Plus
Well,
4.
but I also added the power cable to the SD2IEC cartridge, and it's working through the disk drive port. Now this game, because it's D64, I don't think I would have copied over the Commodore 64 version. I think it should work. I don't know, that flashing light LED is hopefully loading, but I don't know. Either way, it's great because it's running off of 5 volts from the USB power supply, and yeah, it's working. And this game might take a long time to load because it's like one of the biggest games for the system. So yeah, I don't know. So actually, it was I was thinking of originally with a 254 or 250, and then I kind of had a brain fart. But what I really needed to do was put 127 on line 45. So it's if A is less than 128, that way it will, right before it meets its maximum number for A equals A plus 1, it will then go to 0, and then that will cause it to loop continuously. So that's been fixed. It's easy. Just a brain fart, which happens. But yeah, this keyboard will take some getting used to. I really feel like I'm going to have to sit down and like use this at a desk. So I'm prim and proper with my home row and my wrists perfectly lined up. It's like one of those court documenters, like the people who are the court reporter, the person that's typing on one of those like really fast, super sensitive typewriters that you can't hear, and you can, if you ever watch them, their fingers are going about 100 words per second or words per minute, and like everything that's said in the courtroom is completely recorded, and they're just typing, and you can't hear it. And those keys must be like the most sensitive keys. That's what this keyboard is. It's like a court reporter keyboard. This might be Pets Rescue. I think I got it to work. Actually, I was running the D64 version, and that's actually for a disc. And I remembered there's a different one for an SD card that you're supposed to run. So this is it. I don't know how I'm going to control it because I don't have a joystick, but
That was a frog with really, really gigantic human teeth.
I always thought this character looked like Phoebe. Look at the graphics that this system can produce. And listen to the head annihilating sounds.
Well, now it doesn't sound that bad.
Well, this doesn't look good on this screen. This would look much better on a CRT. So right now we're seeing artifacts from this being a high definition TV. It has like a weird comb filter thing going on that looks funky. This looks at least twice as good on a CRT, and that'll probably be one of the next things I do is plug this into my CRT television and run it. But if you haven't seen Pets Rescue, it's definitely worth downloading a +4 emulator to be able to play. Alright, I'm just going to try to, I don't know if you can skip this.
Try pressing space.
Get it? Pressing space. I don't know. Hopefully I can use the arrow keys to control this.
Alright, I see something that's familiar. Try WASD. Alright. Oh, start game.
Oh boy. Wait, I hit enter but it didn't do anything. Yeah, maybe you have to have a joystick to even play this. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, this looks a little tiny familiar.
Yeah, it's not working. I think you have to have a joystick to even play this game. I'm hitting everything. Yeah. I don't think it has keyboard controls. But it works. And once I get a joystick, it's going to work great. Once I actually I could probably make the adapter today and be playing this tonight. I just need to wire it properly. I can still use a multimeter to test connectivity. That's easy. You just touch the pin and then touch each of the wires until it connects to one of them, and then you know that's the pin that goes to that wire. Then you get like tape or something, put it around the wire, and maybe write down what that wire is.
Wait, when was this game made?
I don't know, 2017, I think.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Super Mario World.
I think it looks better.
Yeah.
But this game's super fun. It's a really great video game. I wish I could play it. But that's okay. I'm very happy that it works. So we'll reset it, and now we'll go ahead and do load. So all you have to do is load, and then FB, which I did. I was holding shift like a crazy person. And then 8 is your disk, because this is plugged in through the disk drive port. It sees it as device 8, and I think that's your standard for Commodore systems. And then I'm going to say run, and this is the front side for the fast load SD2IEC Epix cartridge. Then I can go to Commodore Business Machines, and then it lists 128, 16 plus 4, C64, and PET. And I'm going into C16 plus 4. Now the C16 are 16K or less. Plus 4 can have much larger games. So the plus 4 library, even though it's thinner, they do have some really great games. Now let's see. Oh no, I don't have anything there. Maybe it's in T.
Imagine if there's Tetris.
There we go. This one.
Turbo Outrun.
Oh, but it says D64. This might not work as a D64 disc.
I like
Let's
the
see.
music in this.
Now, does that mean that first one's probably run? We'll just see. It's programmed. Oh yeah, they actually did a good job with the... Now, yeah, the plus 4 can do good music. But for the most part, it's a beepy, squeaky mess, especially compared to the SID. The SID was intended to do really great 8-bit music. But that doesn't mean you can't get good music from the plus 4. spacebar actually did something. Yeah, this looks really terrible on this screen. I just gotta say.
Maybe this one actually works.
The spacebar's doing something. If they did the arrow keys to control the car, that would be pretty funky. And you know, if people think it was hokey to put arrow keys on the keyboard, the MSX was doing it way before anyone else, I think. I think maybe the original MSX was one of the first to have keys on the keyboard itself. Maybe not. Maybe this was first. I'll have to look and find out. Oh man, I just chose manual. That means I'll have to probably hit up and down to shift. Oh god. Wait. Okay, it's ASD. Spacebar is shift. No. Now let's not use turbo to run into people, okay? I don't know how to downshift.
I'm generally vibing.
Checkpoint. This actually plays well with the keyboard. The ASD W keys seem to be handling it well. I still don't know how to downshift. That would help for bumping into cars and stuff. I hit the space bar to shift. Maybe it's space and down. No. Got to another.
You're doing good.
Yeah, especially considering I'm using a keyboard with my left hand here. It's kind of. Now, don't we live in a great time where you can buy one of these systems, take it out of the box, hook up an SD card drive, and then have every bit of software ever made for it at your fingertips, and endless space to make programs. I could program endless basic games and have them saved to this SD card, and you know, that would be a blast.
Oh gosh. If you make this last second, that's going to be awesome.
Out of time. But that was amazing. This system is so cool. I'm so glad I got one. I think I got first place.
Wow.
I'm good. I'm good. Oh, you used the arrow keys.
Do pop. Papa.
Okay.
Or pop.
I'll do pop.
Alright, pop.
Awesome.
Or JL.
Oh man, this
JLC.
is so freaking awesome game. Awesome game. And there's a ton of awesome games because you can play C16 games on this. So there are like a ton of C16 games, and some of them are pretty good. I'm not going to go off saying the C16 is, you know, a great game system or anything, but there are some pretty good games for it. Like they have a pretty crappy version of Ghosts and Goblins, though. It's absolutely atrocious. I mean, it is literally horrendous.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even try to emulate sprites with it. I mean, look at that compared to what they did with Pets Rescue. They could have done better. But at the same time, it's there. It's something to try out.
Wait, is Ghosts and Goblins here?
Probably. I think it's on here. and it will be the C16 version of the game. Most of these are going to be C16.
There's
Let's
Ghosts.
see. I don't know which one of those it would be though.
Goonies.
Now Goonies is a pretty good game, but this has tape files.
Here, try the first Ghost. That might be Ghosts and Goblins.
Let's see. It might say Ghosts and Goblins. Okay. Now this would be a C16 game with all the limitations, 16K or less. Even the VIC-20 in many cases had better looking games, but it depends. Some of the C16 stuff was better than VIC-20 stuff, and then the stuff that was exclusively for the Plus 4 are really good. There's some Plus 4 games that are better than C64 games. Pet Rescue is definitely better than most Commodore 64 games. It just has incredible graphics. And there we go. And I think it just popped me out there right at the beginning to die.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh. Oh. Was it shift or?
Try arrow keys with shift.
Oh, it wasn't. I don't think it was started.
Press fire to
Shift is fire. Okay, left arrow is, well, there we go. So again, whoa. Yeah, I don't know. The controls are funky. I think it wants a joystick because it's not controlling in any way that is like usable. Okay, wait till I make a joystick adapter for that one. So the system seems to be working fine. I'm very much looking forward to playing more of it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do when I'm done with this, though, is I'm going to unplug that power supply because I know leaving it plugged in
It's a horrible idea.
It killed my Commodore 64 upstairs. And I think the power supply with it was supposed to be one that doesn't mess up. It was like a newer aftermarket power supply. So either the Commodore died on its own and the power supply is still good, or the power supply somehow died and did the same thing the old ones do. But it's an aftermarket newer power supply that's not supposed to do that. So, success. We have a Commodore Plus 4, and I'll go ahead and just show the layout here with the
It looks
SD
awesome.
card. Oh yeah, the system looks awesome. I mean, that's what attracted me to it at first was, hey, that's a Commodore, that thing looks amazing.
It looks smaller than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like...
It's an aesthetically pleasing system, I have to say, and I've already seen enough of the games. Actually, you know, I have an emulator of it on my work computer, and so I've played all these games with a joystick, with HD, because the emulator runs well on HD. I've played all these. I already know that what to expect, but then on the original hardware is just the way to go. Success.
So I'm preparing these cables here to make a controller adapter that should use Atari and Amiga controllers, like I said earlier, for use on the Plus 4. So I've got the list of all of the different pins on the connector, and then I'm matching up the color of the pin, or the color of the wire, with the pin. I've done 2 of them already, and so I'm using the clips here. Now, I don't really have anything small enough for this because my smallest one of these is too big still, so I'm kind of trying to be gentle but still to pull. There we go. And that seems to be working okay. These are tiny wires, so I'll just connect that alligator clip there, and then I will test each of these, and I've got it set to continuity. Oh, There we go. I'll just make sure that's right. So it looks like yellow is pin 2. Okay, so then over here, I'm going to find where pin 2 is. That's down, and it will be yellow. There we go. Now once I'm done going through all of those, then I need to take this adapter that I have. This is actually a PC Engine to PlayStation adapter. I actually have 2 of these, and it has the right connector here for the Plus 4 and all the pins. So I will disconnect the wires here and then test each of those wires and match them up to their pins, and then I will splice the colors together to create an adapter, and then I'll test it out. It should work okay. This has all been done before, and it saves me the trouble of purchasing an adapter from Italy or Poland or Germany or whatever and waiting till the end of April to get it. And it's something I have, I love doing stuff like this anyway. So, nothing against them. And what I'm going to do is with this board that's left over, and with the leftover cable that I have, because I actually used a Genesis controller extender cable. So this is left over from it. I cut it about in half because there's a lot of cable there. I'm going to use this PC board to try to turn it into a PlayStation controller adapter for the Sega Genesis. That way none of this will be wasted at all. I'll end up with an adapter that I never had before to try out, and I'll end up with a adapter to play games on my Plus 4. I also have and this is an aftermarket power supply for the Commodore 64. I realized that I have this aftermarket, and so chances are my Commodore 64, which is on the fritz, isn't because of a bad power supply. It's probably because of something within the system. So I'm going to be testing this, and I'll probably just get an adapter to use this power supply with the Plus 4. So that'll save me about $80. If it works, which I don't think that the power supply is bad. I was sitting here looking through it all. My power supply must have went bad. It must have overvolted my system, and then it dawned on me, wait a minute, I don't have the regular power supply. I actually have an aftermarket power supply. So it shouldn't be that. It isn't that. Okay, so I'm going to run through all of these and test them and try to create an adapter for that controller.
I think that is out of batteries. Oh, it's because some of these were touchy. That's what it is.
Alright, so I've taken off the adapter piece that I'm going to use later to try to make a Sega one, and I've went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these as I'm testing them, and I'm getting really close to being ready to try to splice together or solder together these connections. I'm just connecting to the alligator clip, making sure none of the wires are crossed or touching each other, and then I'm going through and checking each of these, and a lot of them have already been done. And if you want to see what's going on here, I'll go ahead and turn this on. Maybe that will show up briefly. Oh, there we go. So we've got 4. Wait a minute. Something else is touching, because 4 has already been taken up. So let's try again. It's 5. Yes. So 5, red is 5, which is the 5 volt, which may or may or may not need to be used. Someone in one of the forums said don't even bother putting the 5 volt to do anything, because it's just risking giving voltage where it's not needed. And I guess he's in that he's claiming that you don't need 5 volts to run the controller. I don't like how it turns off the backlight on its own. If I turn on the backlight, then I want it to stay on. It's just another thing to have to deal with. I don't like that. Okay, and right away, okay, yeah, we're getting 7. Okay, yes, so blue is 7, which is ground. Now we only have a couple left. Okay, we're going to go ahead and test out green. I need to get a work mat. I was just looking at work mats on eBay, and I noticed that you can either get one that's too small or get one that's too big, and it's kind of hard to find the right size of one of those things. Okay, of course, first try, because we're running out of ones it could be, is 8. Okay, so green is 8, meaning by process of elimination, brown has to be pin 1. So I'm going to test that, and I will just expect it to be pin 1. There we go. This is using continuity mode. And there we go. Yep. Brown's pin 1. So all of the pins have been identified, and I can begin the process of splicing them together to create a controller adapter. Alright, so I have both of these ready to go, and I'm guessing soldering them would be the way to go. You know, they're really small, and if you just wrap them up and you know, electrical tape them together, that will work. But then if anything gets slightly scooted or jostled the wrong way, one way or the other, then it will end up disconnecting. And I don't know, that's what I'm tempted to do, you know, is just twist them together and tape them. And I've done that before, and that stuff works and everything, but I don't know. I think in this case, soldering them is probably the better idea of the two, because it's strong and permanent. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So I've got it all set up here, and it would be that my right side pincher clipper thing is not here, and that would be very, very helpful for what I'm trying to do. Anyway, moving along, we're gonna go with first we'll do up, down, left, right. Okay, and on the Sega side, up is green, so I'm getting my green on here, and I'm going to I guess clip the wire here at least, just so I can have something kind of holding it in place. And it connects to brown on the other side. So I'm just going to twist these together. Hopefully they'll stay together here. Wish I had the other little pincher. That would be much, much better. Okay. Phew. Okay, let's turn this. Alright. Got my solder ready. Oh boy. Okay, go ahead and heat up the iron. today's cigar is a Man o' War Ruination. I got it in a sample pack. Always buy samplers, by the way. Today's off-topic subject will be the cigar that I'm having in my little window. I have a fan that blows everything out the window, so nothing is in here. It all gets sucked and blown right out the window. I don't like to be around big clouds of smoke, but I love the taste of cigars. Like most people who have had them probably will agree that cigars taste pretty much amazing. But my point is, only buy samplers. I don't ever buy like a 20-pack box of anything. If you compare prices and actually do the math, you'll find that samplers are always a way better deal. Like you will always get a significantly better deal with a sample pack than you will with just buying huge amounts for whatever reason. For instance, my favorite cigar right now is the CAO Flathead. And the Flathead is, well, they're exceedingly expensive cigars. They're expensive. They're like $200 something for a pack of 20 of them. But you can get a you can actually get 5 of them in a sample pack with another 5 that are really super good, and it's like $50. So you're gonna, suppose you just wanted to go ahead and get 20 of the Flathead CAOs. Well, you could go ahead and spend $200, which is less than a pack of 20 of them, and actually get 5 of them, 10, then 15, then 20, and then 5 of another cigar that are as good. You'd end up with 40 cigars and 20 of cigars that would cost more than $200 were you to buy them in a box of 20. Now people like to get the boxes. The boxes, ornamentation and graphics, and maybe you don't like the other cigar, but then you go and look at some of the other samplers where you'll get 20 or 30, 35 or 40 of really good cigars. It's always better. It is always better to get a sampler. You're going to save money, plus that's a good way to find out what flavors you like and what sizes you like and stuff like that. So completely off subject, off topic, but if you're going to have a cigar, get a sampler. And remember, don't inhale cigars. Now, of course, any, self-respecting person would use shrink tubing for this, but I don't have shrink tubing, and this would be so perfect of a job for shrink tubing, where you can just shrink tube each one of these and it would hold it in place perfectly. But so I've got the old standby electrical tape, and that'll have to do for now. So that first one is done. Next we're doing down, which is yellow. So I've got yellow and it connects to black. So I have to make sure to pay close attention that I'm grabbing black and not purple or something like that, because sometimes things look a certain way under a certain light with certain screwed up eyes. So here we go. And really, I'm just trying to get a working controller on the Plus 4, because that's going to be so much fun. There are so many great games for the Plus 4. And actually, nothing compared. Okay, I'm pretty sure the Commodore 64 has the largest video game library of any game system in the entire world. Like, it has really something like oh goodness, I want to say that like 6,000. I think it's 6,000. It has 6,000 games. They're like over that. It's over that. Like, it is by and far the largest game, and they keep making more games for it. So the Commodore 64 has a truly ridiculously huge library of video games, and like the Atari or Atari home computers or the ColecoVision and Television, all those systems from around that time, the Texas Instruments, everything, most of them are crappy shovelware, or they're like Pac-Man or Space Invaders clones, you know. But what they did with the Plus 4 is, within the past, you know, whatever, 10, 15, 20 years, people have been like, hey, we totally missed that system. That was a good one. And so they're coming out and trying to kind of make up for that. Whoa. I really hope that's not human hair. Dust or something. There we go. They're trying to make up for it, and using that hardware that seems to have some purpose and use behind it that never got used. There's so many systems that have never seen their full potential, and likely never will until a good software development kit comes out for it. I think that's... Oh, there we go. One that always comes to mind for me, and it's silly to even say it with any kind of straight face, is the CDI. That system has a disk drive, meaning it can have you know, the full memory advantage of a CD-ROM disk for what would be 16-bit, you know, pushing 32-bit style, at least in color depth. I'm not saying it can do what 32-bit systems later did, like the 3DO, PlayStation, Saturn, 32X, stuff like that, but it just got shadowed by and then ejected by and crapped on every other system around it. But it's a decent CD player. Now the problem with the CDI isn't that it couldn't make good games. Nintendo kind of, you know, nubby-nubbed. They poke winked at them for about 5 minutes, and they let them do some, you know, of the most memed and mocked IPs of Mario and Zelda that ever existed, with Zelda's Adventure, Gamelon, Wand of Gamelon, and stuff like that. Those side-scrolling and top-down games with all the FMV and terrible voice acting, and then of course Hotel Mario. Now, as far as video games go, if you like, if you're that right age or right mindset where you actually like the arcade game Mario Brothers, but maybe you don't like the side-scrolling game Super Mario Brothers, then Hotel Mario will be the last Mario game that was ever made for your kind, because it is that type of game. It's an arcade game with Mario, and it's actually an excellent game. And that's the one where everyone gets the, you know, hope she made lots of spaghetti meme and all those memes. My boy came from a Zelda game meme. Okay, left is brown, so we're going to get brown here. So the CDI has good enough hardware. It has a good enough controller. They have two really good controllers for it. One is based on what I said earlier, Logitech. It's actually a Gravis gamepad. That's excellent. I mean, it's a Gravis gamepad. If you've played systems from back in the day like I have, you know that the Gravis gamepad is actually a really great gamepad. And it also has another one that looks kind of like a Sega pad. It has 3 buttons, and I don't know, I'm confused here if this is black. I think this must be brown. The reason I think this is brown is because none of the other ones say orange, and it looks more brown than the others. I would have written down orange, And actually the color orange, before it was named orange, was called brown. So a little bit of history there. So okay, I guess that's brown. Yeah, that's brown. That's brown. Okay. So next up, left, which is pin 3. So we're looking at yellow. And so I'm going to grab this yellow cable. Now the reason I'm leaving that sitting there while I wind this is because I can use one piece of electrical tape to wind over several of them at once, and it saves that piece of tape that I'm using, and all it's doing is isolating them so they don't cross signals. No big whoop. Okay, brown to yellow. So I think if they had a really nice, functional, and easy to use CDI development kit, a dev kit for the CDI, then why not? You know, we could have so many good creative games for that system. It's just begging for it, and the controller's good. Now the real problem, what I was getting at, the actual real problem with the CDI, that's not hot enough yet, is that they have a timekeeper chip inside all of them. And the timekeeper chip has a 3-volt battery embedded within the chip. I mean, it is inside the silicon chip, okay? When people do mods of them to make it so you can replace that chip, you see videos where they're chopping away at the silicon of a chip to get to that 3-volt battery to pry it out. And that's nuts. What people ended up doing, and there was actually one version of the system made later, probably one of the last versions of the CDI, that actually has a removable battery chip. If you got that one, you got lucky, okay? Because once that battery dies, it kills the system. It's a suicide switch for the system. So the way to have a modern working CDI that's not that one hard to find rare version with the replaceable battery, all of the other ones have the timekeeper chip, is to replace the timekeeper chip or mod it or upgrade it somehow by either removing the chip or somehow soldering around it and doing some kind of, there are like 3 or 4 different methods to do this before the system kills itself. Then you've got a working CDI. My first CDI that I had died. The second CDI I had has the mod, and so it's not going to die. I mean, maybe the eye will die, maybe the motor will go bad, something like that, but it's not going to die the way all the other ones died in the past when that chip fails and the system kills itself. So having a working CDI puts you in a special class of nerd. And so I guess that's me. I'm that special class of nerd where I have a 3DO FC10 because it's a pop top and doesn't have a CD motor to fail. I have a modded CDI so that I can play games and it doesn't fail. Yeah, I have a white Sega Saturn because I have the cartridge that I bought is a 1 meg, 4 meg, all region that will play backups, you know, and so it can play all the backups. My Dreamcast, I soldered a different cap on the controller so that it can't get that controller surge that can happen, that can mess up the system. You know, right now I'm making a adapter to use gamepads and Atari joysticks with a Commodore Plus 4. You know, I guess you kind of have to be a special certain kind of nerd to even be doing something like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now that I've gotten down through some of these. I'm going to check the ones I've done: green, yellow, and brown. Next is right red going to purple. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, I had a stirring revelation. I tried it out. Hooked up the ones I thought I was supposed to hook up. But then it didn't work. Certain things worked, but certain things didn't work. Okay. Tried out a game and all that. Nothing would work. And that's probably because fire was not hooked up right. what I found out was that the information that I drew off of the internet was actually not what I thought it was. Okay, I got the proper pinout for the male input here for the 9-pin, which would be Sega, the Sega socket there, but the other one, the 8-pin DIN, was actually backwards. This is the port. And so because that's the port, when you plug in, all of your stuff's going to be backwards. So I had to rewrite all this. This is all the actual accurate listing. And so I have to desolder the ones I soldered and then switch them around. And then after that, I'm relatively positive that this is all going to work. If I didn't fry something in there by doing it wrong, which I don't think I did. We'll see. Okay, so I think I've got them lined up right now. Now when I read online again, and this was the way I approached this to begin with, they said, a guy said, hey, don't do 5-volt rail because, or don't do 5 volts because it will fry the TED chip if you use turbo on a controller, which I don't think I have to worry about that. I don't have turbo on a controller. But either way, if the thing will work without the 5-volt rail going, then I think it would make sense just to leave it out of the equation because, you know, adding power to the TED chip is probably dangerous. Anyway, so in theory, this should be what I need to do. And I think the guy that did the web page on this whole situation would probably benefit from elaborating, maybe not elaborating what's what, but maybe putting the opposite up so people will know right away that the port is opposite of the connector, which, you know, you'd know that, but when he says port, you might be thinking like I did, oh, that's the way the connector is, when it wasn't. It was actually the way the port was. And he doesn't say anywhere, hey, switch these things around. It was my fault, not his, but that would have immediately solved my problem if it would have said it, hey, this is actually backwards when you're soldering it because, you know, it's the connector, not the port. It would have solved that problem, and I wouldn't have had to redo this whole thing. No big whoop. And I've got some bigger possibly sturdier solder points out of it, so that's probably good. And hopefully this will all work because I really want it to. I want to have a and what I've got is a gamepad that was a custom made Amiga gamepad that has up mapped as a button, which is something that's really cool that they have now, because a lot of those games, the worst part about them, especially the arcade ports like Touchy, whatever you want to call it, and lots and lots of arcade ports of games where there was a second button for jump would have you pressing up for jump in the arcade version, or in the Amiga version, or the Atari ST version, or whatever version, until the Nintendo came out with extra buttons. Or if somebody was, you know, daring enough to program the second button, which was kind of rare. It was very rare to have 2-button Amiga games. So yeah, being able to use that second, use the second button as jump, and really all it is just a, I've actually done it with custom-made joysticks. I'd make like a custom-made joystick with arcade joysticks and buttons and stuff, and then I'd just map an extra button to jump. So there'd be more than one thing mapped to jump, and it would do the same thing. You could hit a button and that was the same as up. In racing games, then that's your accelerator. In games where up is jump, that's your jump button, and immediately all of those up is jump and up is accelerate games become that much easier because you can focus on left and right to steer in a racing game. You don't have to press up and right or up and left, and you can focus on jumping while changing the direction of your character. You're not kind of like lofting the joystick up and right to be able to jump and move, which was the big thing that later gamepads corrected. So yeah, this should work. So I can't wait to try it out. So I think it's working now. I might have just, I don't know, I think we have power conflicts going on here, left and right. Now I'm just skipping the intro. I showed the intro earlier. And because it started, we know the fire button's working. The press up for jump button works. And so here we go. Password Weedy. Now, this really is very much like a Super Mario clone, where you jump on enemies. Well, I guess it's kind of a Sonic too, because you're free creatures that are like trapped. I think that's a midpoint, so that's where you'll start if you die. Oh, like I just did. And you can hear, this is like tolerable music. It's excellent music. Let me see if I can hit this guy. Yeah. Oh, no, it just bounced him. Okay. I freed a fishy. Now, the controls are, I don't want to say they're delayed, but the character is slow. She's slow to start running, and but once you get the hang of it, it's very Mario-like. Now on this screen, there's a lot of adjustment, and so the delay I'm experiencing and the adjustments in color on the screen are because of the HD screen. That's not something you're going to get on a, well, at least the color adjustments you're not going to get on a CRT. And I don't know about the delay. There actually could be a delay I'm experiencing because of the screen. Because these screens are, they delay. They have delays that are, now you see that fireball came out of the thing from that pipe, very much like with a Mario game. Okay, and it had a score boost from the ending there, just like Mario. It has more Mario elements than Sonic. Oh, it fell in the lava. And it's got your name. You put it in with the joystick. There we go. 4th place. Hey, why not, you know? The game works. And this is beautiful, excellent game. On CRT it's going to look, you know, 10 times better than this. Or like I said earlier, at least twice as good as this. And it's kind of, I don't know. Oh. Okay. I love that she's got like headphones on. The art at the beginning makes me think of my 3rd daughter Phoebe. It looks a lot like her, so I see it and I think, oh, that looks like my daughter. If my daughter had like a combed out fro, I guess. There's a bullet bill or whatever he's called from a little launcher. You can totally just see all of the Mario all over the place on it. Close. Yeah, but I ordered an adapter to use a different power supply because I really don't want to hurt this system. Oh, and so I'm going to go ahead and stop playing. I'm going to go ahead and restart the system. There we go. I'm really happy with the system though. I'm glad it's working. Now I have a working controller adapter. Once I get the power supply adapter, this system should last a long time. And the joystick working is excellent. I couldn't get Battle Chess to work on here, and that's a game that I really want to be able to play on here because someone made an excellent version of Battle Chess. And sometimes I like to just set Battle Chess up to fight against itself, and you can do that with, I'm pretty sure, all of the versions of Battle Chess that are out there, and there are many of them. If you want to see a game that really evolved over the years, back then it was Battle Chess. At first it was kind of a blocky, low resolution game, low color, with some sound effects and stuff and animations, and then that evolved into like the 3DO version of Battle Chess with zoomed in, higher resolution graphics, you know, CD quality audio and really good sound effects, and they made versions of it like the Software Toolworks Star Wars Chess, which is very much like Battle Chess. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and try. Why not try the C16 Ghosts and Goblins, see how the joystick handles that, and then I'll give the system a rest. I got to be careful with this old boy because even though it's probably never been used, these power supplies are notoriously ready to fail, although they do usually last a while before they fail. You know, it's a process, and it has a lot to do with the voltage that they receive. Oh no. Yeah, I really need to plug the other controller in now that I know what's wrong with it. It wasn't firing because it uses the second controller. And I couldn't imagine trying to play this up to jump with a flight stick. I mean, that would truly suck. Whoa, two of those bad guys. And it actually started me on that level, and it was the PRG instead of the disc 1 and disc 2. So maybe it would go to this after you get to the end or something, like, I guess that could be possible. So this is a C16 game, and it works. The joystick works fine, all the functions work fine. It seems excellent, and I have a good working joystick for my Plus 4 now. So there we go. Next up will be a power supply adapter, so I can use an aftermarket power supply that should, in theory, not fry the system. So, all right, thanks for watching.